Well, I sure hope that there's no demons or ghosts trying to haunt me while I record this episode of One Please. If so, Abazu, like and subscribe. Maybe you'll like my future horror content. Hello, everyone. Back again. Here to talk about some movies. We're going to talk about the movie Undertone. Seems prevalent to the act of what I'm doing right now. So let's just dive right into it. This movie, Undertone, originally called The Undertone. You know what? I think he watched Social Network and was like Justin Timberlake, and he was like, drop the. It's just Undertone. Anyway, this movie's called Undertone. Came out a couple weeks ago. 94-minute runtime, directed by a man named Ian Tuason. Tuason? I apologize, Mr. Ian. This appears to be his directorial debut. I saw this movie a couple weeks ago. It's a horror movie. I guess I should probably preface that. Here's a synopsis. The host of a popular paranormal podcast, that's a fun alliteration, becomes haunted by terrifying recordings mysteriously sent her way. Short, sweet, to the point. This movie stars Nina Kiri, Adam DeMarco. Name kind of rings a bell, but his face wasn't in the movie, I can tell you that much. Adam DeMarco, who are you? He's in The White Lotus and other things I haven't seen. Starring Nina Kiri and the voice of Adam DeMarco. And Michelle DeQuette? Butchering the names today. That's it. The 3 stars of this movie, I think, are the only 3 people in this movie. That's a lie. There's a few more people. Just their voices for a few minutes, but that's pretty much it. Very small scope of a movie. I think the entire movie takes place in the house that is seen in the trailers, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I'm curious. Yeah, okay. So Ian's directorial debut, reported budget of $500,000. It feels like it. Not necessarily in a bad way, I guess. But like I said, if you've seen the trailer for this movie, you see kind of the setting of what's going on around the Nina Kiri character and her mother. The entire movie, actually, I might not know for sure because I think I was like 3 to 5 minutes late to this movie. But I think the entire movie takes place in this house. Again, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you can feel that there's kind of a constrained scope of the movie. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, I think some creative people probably work better with constraints. I don't know. I guess I feel like this movie proactively had the constraints on it, to keep it a very small budget because it is a first-time filmmaker. So I don't know. Maybe some indication there as to the feel of the movie, if you will. There's a lot of not nearly as offensive, but like screens on screen, for lack of a better term, not nearly as offensive as Mercy, the AI movie with Chris Pratt, came out a few months ago. But yeah, I mean, this movie's about a podcaster who is essentially investigating isn't necessary. Investigating, they're just regular people, but investigating what's going on with these mysterious recordings that get sent to them. And of course, they're a true crime podcast as well. So, and the story kind of unfolds as they work their way through these 10 mysterious audio files. So there's not much more to the movie than that. You can feel the inspiration of horror on this movie, but at the same time, I can also really feel the kind of, what if we did this, but they're podcasters, the pretty I'll call it the Reese's peanut butter cup conundrum. What if we took chocolate and peanut butter? And then what if we took chocolate and something else, or peanut butter and something else? Like, what if it was a horror movie, but they were podcasters, you know? And I'm sure you could get more granular than that, but this movie was fine. I will say I was a little upset that the movie kind of waited for like the last 5 to 10 minutes to really kind of find its identity, I guess. And maybe you can make an argument for all of the prerequisite is build up, you know, but 90 minutes of build up for like 5 minutes of unhinged horror at the end, I guess I should say. Maybe the balance was a little off, you know. To its credit, I quite enjoyed the ending of this movie. And that's something that I think is not always easy to achieve. You know, landing the plane on cinematic experiences and cinematic storytelling falls flat. And I think it falls flat for a lot of people in a lot of cases. This was more of a slow burn into an extremely creative endeavor, I guess. I really enjoyed the imagery and the cinematography and the overall ability to, well, here's the thing. Whether or not there was a lot of footage left on the cutting room floor or what for this movie, there's a fair amount of open-ended kind of interpretation left up for the viewer, which I appreciate, you know. Your mileage may vary on certain things, you know. Sometimes it feels like maybe they're going to explain away something and then they don't, and whether or not that makes sense for someone or that is what you like in a movie, it kind of depends on personality. But by the time we get to the end of this movie, shit just kind of hits the fan, and then the credits roll. And again, it is a fun and entertaining final scene. But everything leading up to it was pretty bland, I gotta be honest. The writing was not very convincing. The performances were not necessarily convincing either. You know, to have a good enough time, I guess. But like, I don't know if Mr. Ian is a promising new voice in horror or film. Actually, you know what? I wonder, has he done anything else or anything else lined up? Looks like he's done a few short films. Undertone directorial debut. Paranormal Activity 8. Ian, why? Why? Your directorial debut is an original feature film written and directed by you. And let's talk about, critical response. Who gives a shit? 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. As far as I'm concerned, that's not bad to people that use Rotten Tomatoes as a barometer. Also, with a reported budget of $500,000 and a box office of $12 million, seems like a promising start to your career. Paranormal Activity 8, though, coming in 2027. Why? That franchise is... do we have a term for whatever beyond beating a dead horse is? Let's talk about Paranormal Activity for a second. Utilizing a very similar kind of marketing tactic and ideas like Blair Witch and other things. I mean, offensively low budget and ridiculously high box office. Paranormal Activity 1, reported budget of $215,000. Jesus, $200 million. Let's just go through these real quick. Won't take too long. 2, $3 million, $175 million. Still crushing it. Still printing money. What else we got? 3, $5 million, $207 million. All right. So right now we are sub $5 million budget and basically $200 million box office for the first 3 Paranormal Activity movies. Number 4, $5 million, $150 million. That's 25% decrease, but still an absolute ridiculous turnaround. Let's go. Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones. I don't know if this is technically a spinoff or if this is officially number 5. Budget 5 to 10 million. Box office 90 million. Okay, we're starting to see some problems here. Budget's starting to get out of hand, and the return is not looking nearly as promising as it once was. Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. Okay. All right, what do we got here? $10 million budget now. $80 million box office. The gap, excuse me, the gap is narrowing. Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. October 29th, 2021. Oh, there's no information here. Uh-oh. No information here on the 6th installment of Paranormal Activity. 32% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's go back. Hang on. I want to look at the first one. 83% on the first one. Okay. Paranormal Activity. 7 installments. Substantial data to prove that the money is no longer the money that it used to be, and the quality of movie is no longer the quality that it used to be. And yet here we are, Ian going in, Paranormal Activity 8. Maybe he thinks he can turn it around. It looks like the screenplay is all, it looks like he's writing it as well. Ian, prove me wrong. Let's go ahead. Hop on the train. May 21st, 2027. I'll be there. Unless something else comes out that weekend. Paranormal Activity 8. Are you going to turn this franchise around, Ian? We'll see. Anyway. Undertone. I don't know if there's anything else about this. The scariest movie you'll ever hear. Yeah, I mean, they really went into the fucking... They're in the weeds on the whole audio forward thing. To put it bluntly, there wasn't really anything necessarily outstanding about the audio in this movie at all. There were some audio jump scares that may not have necessarily had like a associated scary visual. But there was only a few times, maybe 2 or 3 instances throughout the movie. Other than that, the only thing about the movie is that the plot device is that they're podcasters listening to spooky audio messages, you know? I think that there was potentially way more to this movie than meets the eye, but I don't think that I'm going to revisit it to figure this out, because there's this whole other kind of, I don't know, religious element to it, regarding Nina Carey's character's mother, and how religious she is, and the demon that is like possessing either the audio messages or the house that Nina Carey's character is in, and she is discovered pregnant, and she's wrestling with like what she needs to do about the baby, but like I mean, those plot points directly correlate to the messages that they're receiving, the demonic messages, but it felt like there was a higher level of subtext here. And I don't know, maybe because I'm not Catholic or familiar with the people, the supernatural entities, if you will. Abazu, are you real? Maybe I'll do some research. Probably not. All right, I'm tired of talking about this movie. Oh, do you go see this movie? I think this is a good case for a classy Saturday or Sunday matinee. You know what? I'll give it that. Because if you like horror movies, my theater was packed, by the way, on opening night. If you like horror movies, this is a new original horror movie from a first-time filmmaker. You know, and again, there is some redeeming quality to the movie. You just have to wait 90 minutes to get to it, I would say. And I wouldn't say the rest of the movie is bad, but forgettable. I don't know. Let's move on to a more interesting movie. Much more interesting movie, in my opinion. We're talking about Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. Yes. The Bride. Bride of Frankenstein, that is. Here comes the motherfucking bride. Here's the synopsis. In 1930s Chicago, Frankenstein asks Dr. Euphronius, okay, Frankenstein's monster, who goes by Frankenstein in this because it's Dr. Frankenstein's name or his father's name. So he goes by Frankenstein, or as Annette Bening's Dr. Euphronius likes to call him, Frank. In 1930s Chicago, Frankenstein, the monster, asks Dr. Euphronius to help create a companion. Jesus Christ, these names. They give life to a murdered woman as the bride, capital B bride, sparking romance, police interest, and radical social change. This movie, directed by one Maggie Gyllenhaal Sarsgaard, with credit to Mary Shelley, stars Jessie Buckley, obviously, new Academy Award winner, Jessie Buckley, and Christian Bale. Like I said, Annette Bening. Wouldn't be a Maggie Gyllenhaal movie without Jake Gyllenhaal making an appearance and Peter Sarsgaard making an appearance. Oh, yeah, that's right. Penelope Cruz shows up too. Yeah, great cast of actors in this. Here's the thing about The Bride. I feel like everyone hated it. Everyone I talked to said that movie was bad. And so 4 weeks later, I said, I'm going to go see Undertone and The Bride back to back. Saw Undertone first, saw The Bride second. The Bride, not nearly as bad as everyone's making it out to be. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Unlike Paranormal Activity, and unlike a lot of popcorn movies, Bride, not doing so hot on the box office. Budget of 80 to 90 million. Probably all of that going into Christian Bale's pocket. Box office 28 million. Whatever. Successful money-making movie, quality movie does not make. Am I right? Did one battle after another, or did not one battle after another make money? I'm fairly certain it was a box office failure. Just won Best Picture. Fantastic movie. Maybe not PTA's best. Anyway. The Bride is a fun time. There are definitely flaws with the movie. Some things that were a little not my taste, and probably not a fair amount of people's tastes. But first of all, Jessie Buckley is not the problem with this movie. Jessie Buckley kills it in this movie. And you know what? While I'm at it, everybody does a great job in this movie. This movie is a fun time. I came out of this movie understanding a few things. One, that this is more of a piece of art than it is a fun time. Maggie Gyllenhaal has something to say here. And I guess I can understand why a lot of middle-aged white men probably didn't have a fun time thinking this was going to be a Frankenstein's monster movie. I also came out of this movie. I mean, what's fun is looking at the discourse of something like this and understanding why people are pissed. Maybe because they feel like they got. I don't know. Similar to Joker and Joker 2, Joker Folie à Deux discourse, I feel like. First movie comes out. Particular subsect of people watch that movie and are receiving the wrong message. And they go, Arthur Fleck, that guy's right. You know, Arthur Fleck, he's a guy. Maybe even I aspire to be someone like him. Don't. Because he's not a good guy. And so, respectfully, Joker 2 comes out and is a huge middle finger to what feels like lovers of the first Joker movie. I feel like The Bride takes that idea, but that entirety idea of first movie and second movie of Joker, and basically puts a satirical element to it, while Maggie also kind of injects her own. I feel like there's a pretty clear avatar for her in the Mary Shelley character, who is a character in this movie, who then possesses this, you know, Jessie Buckley's Ida. Jessie Buckley's Ida. Excuse me. And is, you know, her character is essentially like a, you know, obviously an undead character with like DID and Tourette's almost, which is like, that's the questionable part here. But it's kind of, it's wacky and fun at sometimes, but pretty cringeworthy at other times. For Jessie Buckley's character to be her, you know, 1930s kind of like ruthless, independent woman, and then be like the Mary Shelley character, immediately having a completely different accent and vocabulary and all these ridiculous kind of, it's crazy. This is a fun movie, though. I don't know what the fuck people were expecting. Romantic, not necessarily, not for me. As it is, you know, advertised, I guess, as a gothic romance film. It's kind of just a fun romp, honestly. What else went on here? Wow. Wait, that's insane. Again, this shit doesn't matter. 57% on Rotten Tomatoes, but then mostly positive and mixed reviews on Metacritic, with extremely low negative reviews. Everybody in my life has told me this was a bad movie. Oh my God, right there. Holy shit. Owen Gleiberman of Variety explained that it's like Joker Folie à Deux, starring a grunge version of the Munsters, with dollops of Sid and Nancy and Natural Born Killers. I rest my case. Owen, give me a call. Yeah, this movie is, I hate saying smarter. This movie knows what it's doing. And that's why it's a good movie. You know, when you compare it to original stories like Undertone, that feel like for 90 minutes it's trying to find some kind of identity. And granted, you know, we're talking about established filmmaker versus a first-time filmmaker, but I guess I'm just confused as to why you would engage in taking the time and money and everything out of your life to making a feature film for it to not be something, for not to say anything. And I mean, no disrespect to Mr. Ian. He just is fallen in the crosshairs because he was paired up against Maggie Gyllenhaal and The Bride this past weekend when I went to go see the movies. But I don't know. Confuses me. Do you rather be an indie horror film first time filmmaker with what we'll call success in the box office? Do you have to do that? Is that more the one for you, one for me kind of mentality of Hollywood? You know? I mean, he's going to go make Paranormal Activity 8, which, again, I mean, historically has made money, albeit to diminishing results over the last 2 decades. But is that it? Like, is that why he's doing it? Maggie Gyllenhaal, who has been making movies, not necessarily directing, but making movies for probably, how old's Ian? Maybe even longer than Mr. Ian's been born. Years active, 2009 to present. Let's just assume he was born in 2009. There's no information on him. But you can go out here, and I understand you can be the one to take the risks, and you have the connections to be putting people like Jesse Buckley and your brother, who's a beloved actor, and your husband, who was a beloved actor, you know, in your movie. And it can come to middling results and reviews, and potentially come to middling, or in this case, financial failure at the box office. But you can take pride in knowing that someone comes out of that movie and, I mean, was The Bride particularly moving or effective? Questionable. I'm also a man, so maybe didn't strike a chord with me as much as it would if I was a woman. But I'm going to remember the social aspect and kind of call to action, if you will, about, like, the message of this movie, you know? Maybe what I'm trying to get at finally is that if you were in Mr. Ian's shoes and you finally had the ability to make a feature film, if you're going to be as bold as to proactively choose to shoot your movie inside one house, for example, to save money on the budget, why wouldn't you go the length to ensure that your feature-length debut says something? And says something either about yourself and your experiences, or an important belief that you have, or is some kind of commentary on some kind of issue in the world right now. I understand that not every movie has to be that. But I don't know. I don't know why you would want to direct a movie if that wasn't the case. I'm probably way out of line. Anyway, let's talk about Project Hail Mary. Project Hail Mary, the new movie from Lord and Miller, that being Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, adapted by Andy Weir's novel of the same name, with a writing credit from Drew Goddard, it looks like. Did he do the screenplay? Yep. Here's the synopsis if you're unfamiliar. Science teacher Ryland Grace wakes up alone on a spaceship light years from Earth. As his memory returns, he uncovers a mission to stop a mysterious substance killing the sun and save Earth. An unexpected friendship may be the key. Project Hail Mary was not what I was expecting. If people are familiar, also Another popular space movie that was an Andy Weir adaptation that came out not too long ago was The Martian. The Martian has a particular tone, it being a space isolation, trying to, just survival, trying to survive movie. This is not that. This is very much not that. This is a much more, out the gate, I'll say, this is a much more optimistic movie about the situation that Ryan Gosling's character is in, and kind of the things that he experiences. Admittedly, I don't know anything about the book, so adaptation lovers and book lovers, if you're listening, and I'm sure you're not, I apologize in advance. This movie was quite the spectacle. In that I understand that virtually everything was made using practical effects, which is fantastic. Ryan Gosling is a treat, as always. Sandra Hüller, while I wouldn't say she was a treat, she was a vehicle with some emotional depth by the end. As I understand it, in the book, Ryland's character is slowly regaining his memories, and so maybe that's like the way that it jumps back and forth in terms of like what's actually happening on the ship right now and what he's going through and what he remembers and how he got there, because the beginning of the story is him just basically waking up with amnesia, if you will. So in the movie, it follows that same pattern, but we jump back and forth between present day space and past, what was going on that led to these events. So the pacing there is a little strange. And the fact that it's 2.5 hours long definitely has a little bit to hold against it, but not terribly much so. So I don't know how much I want to talk about this movie considering its opening weekend. And I tried to avoid all trailers, spoilers, everything about this movie. And unfortunately, because I refuse to pay for things like YouTube Premium, and advertisements for this movie have been thrown in everybody's face for the past 6 months, and you can't skip the first 5 seconds of an advertisement, and then in the first 5 seconds of the fucking trailer they start to put things on screen that I don't want to see or know about, namely one other chief character in this story, Rocky, who I won't say anything else about other than practical effects again and extremely charismatic performance. And you'll probably see a fair amount of reviews or comments and everything on this movie saying that this movie had people crying, probably in multiple parts. I was absolutely in tears watching this movie. This movie is I said optimistic earlier, so geared around the friendship between Ryan Gosling's character and Rocky, the Rocky character. Very, very moving and very touching. And you know what? And I think the kind of history of Lord and Miller lend itself really well to this movie and kind of that theme and tone of the movie, because maybe actually no, everything that they've done, everything they've directed, I should say, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and the Lego Movie, while both of them actually, I don't know if either of them are, I don't think they're Disney movies, but animated children movies, I'll say, light humor, probably usually has a good like core message, easy to watch, and just good just goodness. I don't know, just goodness to say. And then also 21 and 22 Jump Street. Buddy comedies, buddy cop comedies, you know? I mean, this is a buddy comedy in space. This is literally a buddy comedy in space, and they have to work together to fix the problem. And instead of it being whatever, drug dealers or rival organizations or whatever, the fucking Channing Tatum and what's his face are fighting in the Jump Street movies, it's a fictional space amoeba that they're fighting because it's eating the sun. So like the 4 directing credits that they have are unbelievably like there's an unbelievable amount of Venn diagram crossover to those 2 children's animated movies and those 2 like R-rated action comedies to make this movie, and it works so well. It's crazy. This is definitely the movie to see so far, like first half of 2026. Well, I think we have like the Odyssey coming out this summer, so maybe not technically first half of 2026. First quarter, let's say first quarter 2026. You know, it's first day spring, first weekend of Project Hail Mary, and this is definitely the movie event of the year so far. I'm just looking at Lord and Miller's credits here. Produced Cocaine Bear. Funny. Out of all the movies we've talked about, and probably out of all the movies that have come out this year, this is far and away the one to go see. While I don't think it is a phenomenal movie by any stretch of the means, and while I don't think I'll probably ever watch it again, it was still a beautiful movie to watch. Absolute spectacle. Again, the practical effects were second to none. Performances were fantastic. The overall tone of the movie lends itself so perfectly to Mr. Ryan Gosling and the performance of Rocky and the history of Lord Miller's career. It's so touching, and it I think the one thing that I have against like the hype around the movie is that people say that it's very high stakes, I guess. And is it that it's high stakes because he's out there trying to save the world? I don't know if that's like the case for what people are saying. But there really only felt like one moment of actual concern as a viewer for me. There was only one moment of actual concern of like, oh shit, is shit about to go sideways, you know? And then after that moment, I kind of feel like we were on the downslope of the movie, and maybe one or two other times they kind of tried to bring it back of like, here's another problem we have to face because we're light years away from Earth and space. And it just it wasn't quite as effective as the initial big problem and big overcoming of that adversity. So like this movie is not without flaw, but I still had a good time watching it for sure. Definitely go catch this movie when you can. If you can also see it in some kind of premium format, fantastic movie to see in IMAX, or I think there's even some, if you're in a major city, I think there's some 70 millimeter IMAX screenings of it. So couldn't recommend this highly enough. It's an easy watch. You don't have to go into it expecting anything. I assume great adaptation of the book. I haven't heard any negative complaints about that. It is only Saturday and the movie's only been out for a few days, but we'll see. But good time overall. And I think that'll do it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here as I stumble my way through my thoughts in what is essentially a live journal, not live journal on the website, but live journaling and just fucking crazy ramblings of a madman as he recalls the movies that he watched a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to get better at this. I'm trying to nail down the things I want to talk about. I'm trying to make these more clear and concise, but it's just, you know what? Fuck it. We're going day by day. The alternative is I'm not doing this at all, which means I have no creative, outlets, and then I'm not doing anything. I'm just withering away. So I might as well talk into a microphone, even if nobody's listening. And you know what? Actually, I'll take this. I'm going to take this recording. I'm going to put it in a space shuttle. I'm going to shoot it out to space, just like Ryland Grace does, for the good of humanity. I think that'll do it. Thank you all for listening. Goodbye.